welcome back to the Blue Castle podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Molly.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And today, we hope you don't mind if we indulge ourselves in a walk down memory lane to one of our favorite trips to Disney World, at least one of my favorite trips to Disney World in semi-recent history. We want to talk about a trip that we took in January of 2022. It was just a sister trip, so just me and Sarah.
Wow, sister trip.
Sister trip.
So much nicer than we typically are to each other.
Yeah, it was really just, we were focused on like building our sisterly bond and connection.
You're grossing me out.
Sarah hates it when I'm sensitive like that. But Sarah, I just love you and I love those memories that we made together. I cherish them. I do.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay. Before
you turn into like Crush's wife, like you're like a surfer lady.
I kind of thought of that as more of like Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Not the bad word. It's spelled like someone's last name.
Yeah. Anyway,
before we dive too far into this, I want to say, Sarah, as of the day that we're recording this, we are now officially under 4 months until our big trip with Disney World and the cruise coming up in September. So
wow.
That's exciting.
That's crazy. We booked that so far out in advance. I'm almost like wanting to stop booking things so early because it's painful.
It's painful, but for the cruises, it makes a lot of sense. Like we've saved a lot of money by doing it that way. I checked because there's some cruises that, like if you wait till last minute, you can get one with a veranda for a lot cheaper. So like one with a balcony for cheaper. And I was thinking, oh, if we had waited, would it have been a better deal to try to snag a last minute cruise with a veranda or something? And it's really not. Like I think it's still better to just book early. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So diving right into it, the context of this trip, we were already very excited for this trip. It was originally supposed to be November of October.
I corrected that. August.
August.
It was late August. Yeah, was the original plan. Because I could see that I had canceled a bunch of dining reservations and they were all for late August.
Okay. So sorry, that context was completely wrong, but we were supposed to go late August of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And due to some COVID related family emergency stuff, we rescheduled to January. We were very disappointed about that because the August trip was supposed to be our like after COVID trip. Disney World's finally up and going again. So excited to see it. Sarah and I really started getting kind of obsessed with Disney from YouTubes and vlogs and stuff during COVID. So I don't think there was ever a time we were more excited to go to Disney than for that August trip that we had to reschedule.
Yeah. And then for COVID to be the reason that we couldn't go. And I mean, that was the time of the Delta variant. Family emergency had to do with a death in the family due to complications. And I mean, that person was already kind of not doing well health-wise in some other areas. So it wasn't a total shock, but it was definitely just another punch in the gut from, what do people call her? Like Auntie Vid or Auntie Coco.
I don't know. She was rude, though.
She was very rude. We did not like her.
We'd made it through this far in COVID. And then, of course, right when the world is starting to open back up and we were so excited to go to Disney World, that's when the stuff knocks you down, which, not to complain. Obviously, our trip getting delayed is not the most significant impact of that family situation. So, but we just rescheduled it. We could have still gone. It wouldn't have technically interfered, but it felt not tasteful to go right then.
Yeah. And that period of time was also when Florida was getting a lot of crud just from the media. And there was a lot of drama about how people were out at the beaches acting like there was no pandemic. And we were like, we probably don't want to be in like a hot spot whenever we're already dealing with repercussions from it. So we were just like, let's just wait it out. We rescheduled to January.
And we were so excited. And then 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave for Orlando, I got tested positive for COVID, which I hadn't had up to that point. I'd avoided it for 2 years and then all of a sudden tested positive for COVID, which we really thought was going to derail the whole trip. But the day that, I think it was literally the day or maybe the day after I found out I had COVID, the CDC came out with, I don't remember what variant it was, like Omicron or something.
Probably.
They said the new variant going around is Omicron, and instead of a 2 week quarantine, now it's only a 5-day quarantine, which meant that 5 days from the time I got diagnosed, it was even later than that, because 5 days from the day that I tested positive was the day I was supposed to leave, which was crazy because when I first tested positive, I thought that I was screwed, only to find out like the next day that our trip was still salvageable as long as I was still feeling decent enough to go.
When we originally planned this trip, it was going to be travel day Sunday, and then the trip would go through the following Saturday. And then whenever Molly got sick, we went ahead and canceled. So we were going to have a little bit of a Universal time, and we were going to stay at a cheaper hotel close to Universal the first night just to save money. And then we were going to go over to the Disney bubble. So I canceled that very first hotel thinking there's no way we're going to get to stay and go, to that hotel like we planned. But with the CDC guidance changing, Molly was feeling good. I think you tested negative, like all of the things were checking out. And we were like, well, actually, we could just go a day early. And that was literally that Saturday morning. Molly texted me and was like, instead of waiting going tomorrow, what about today? And so that's what we did.
Yeah, I think Sarah was able to fly standby the day of the trip. So no monies. And I lucked out that Southwest had canceled my original flight or something like that. It was one of those situations where I could change my flight free of charge. Even though it was the day of and the flight price had obviously gone up because I was booking a flight for that day, it was free. So blessings on blessings, got to go there a day early and it felt magical and amazing. And yeah,
it was a great turn of events there. I remember that day being very exciting because I was basically already packed. I just kind of tend to be the type of person who packs early, or at least has my stuff together. And so that was pretty easy for me to get my stuff together and be ready to go. The part we had to think on the fly for was a hotel. And instead of booking, I think we were originally going to stay at the DoubleTree, but then I looked into Universal, their version of value resorts. I don't remember what they're called, but they're basically their cheapest resorts, but they have free transportation. And I was just kind of like, I think it'd be cool to stay at a Universal hotel. So we ended up booking for 2 nights at the Endless Summer Resort, the Dockside version. There's Dockside and Surfside. I think I had booked Surfside just to get back the one day originally, and then we canceled that and got Dockside instead because they were available for 2 nights. And so it was a very spontaneous, exciting time. And I remember I landed quite a bit earlier than Molly, but it was also pretty late at night. And I would remember thinking it'd probably just be better for me to hang out here and wait and we go together, because otherwise Molly would be in a Lyft by herself around midnight getting to Endless Summer Resort, which it probably would have been fine, and it would have been more expensive to split up. So I remember I got her a sandwich. I got myself a sandwich, but I saved hers because everything closed.
Sarah was a very good sister. So that was very nice of her. And it ended up being rewarding because when we got to Dockside, they upgraded us to a suite because they said they had already given away the last standard 2 queen bedroom, or hotel room. So they're like, lucky you get upgraded to a suite. So we had a bedroom and then 2, I think, Murphy beds or something like that.
No, yeah, I think it was literally a full-on normal sized room with 2 queen beds, and then your room was a separate bedroom with
and then a separate kitchen.
Yeah, and there was a kitchenette area with a whole picnic table and everything. So it was great, especially for Molly being on the tail end of having COVID and us just being particularly cautious, and her just kind of coming off of being congested and stuff. We got to have our separate spaces for the first 2 nights of our trip.
We were fairly confident I wasn't contagious anymore. I was following all the guidelines from the CDC, but I still was like very sniffly, very congested, coughing, all of that stuff. So having 2 separate rooms for just the sleeping part was probably good for both of us.
Yeah.
Sarah probably got to sleep a lot better because of that.
Yeah. And something I didn't mention, when we had to reshuffle our plans, obviously we had to rebook with Disney and make sure, you know, we could still get the resorts we wanted and everything like that. But we also lost, and that part was easier, but we also lost all of our dining reservations. And I had been working on those for a long time, and it was harder getting them the second time around. I can't remember if we like were late to the game kind of thing because we reshuffled our plans, but that was a big blow to the planning side of it. But we were able to get some good ones. So we'll talk about those as we go.
I think you know what I think it was? I think whenever I first told you I had COVID, I think you canceled a lot of dining reservations then, only to find out that we could still go.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of whiplash going on in that period of time. It was like, we are. I remember being gutted, as the Brits say, whenever you were like, I have COVID. I was like, again, we're doing this again. I was like, well, don't die, please. But also,
it felt so like out of control, where like there was nothing that we could have done to there was nothing I could have done to not get COVID. I was only around a very few number of my friends, and I went to work and I wore my mask. And my friends all tested negative for COVID. Even my roommates were negative. So it was like, why me? Why right when I'm supposed to go on my trip I've been waiting for? Why am I ruining all of it? But it honestly made it so much sweeter in a way to just feel like the trip, we weren't even supposed to have the trip. When I flew out there, I was like, wow, this is crazy that this is happening.
Yeah,
Who
it
would have
didn't
thought
feel
that this could still happen.
Yeah, it didn't feel real. I feel like being in Disney World didn't feel real. Part of it was obviously like 2 years of being in very much in isolation, or as much of quarantine lockdown as we could. Everyone knows what that was like. And just watching all of this on old YouTube videos and vlogs and shows and whatever. And then all of a sudden you're there and you were also like thinking you wouldn't get to go again. It was just very trippy and super exciting to be there. But anyway, so we got there on, Saturday night. We were at the Universal Resort in the Summer Dockside, got upgraded, and this is our bonus day. So we had nothing booked, nothing planned for Sunday, because that was supposed to be our travel day and we were supposed to get in that evening. So we decided to go to the Disney bubble because that's what we were itching to get to the most, and just resort hop.
Even though we were staying at Universal, for the perk of staying at Universal, we still were like, and to Disney we go.
Well, and like I said, this was a bonus day. It was easiest to get it and cheapest to stay at Universal. Like this, if you're wanting to stay at a like themed resort that is on the property of a theme park, this is probably the way to go. Like these are the cheapest, they're very comparable to all the other like Universal Studios or whatever, or non-Disney resorts. But like Disney starting price is just way higher even for their cheapest resorts.
I could be wrong. I think we paid around $100 a night for the hotel, and it was very nice, very clean. Granted, we had a complimentary upgrade, so we can't judge what our original room was supposed to be, but it was very clean, and I assume that all the rooms would be that way.
Yeah, and the resort, like the lobby, the amenities, everything was really nice. So yeah, starting price, a very good starting price at Disney World Value Resorts is like $190 or something. So this one is almost half that for basically the same thing, just at Universal. So that's why we did that. We just got a Lyft or an Uber to breakfast at the Grand Floridian Cafe.
I wanted to say it's called the Grand Floridian Cafe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It was really good.
It was so good.
I don't know what you got. Maybe you got the same thing. I got chicken and waffles.
Yeah, we got the same thing.
And it was so good. Like, I would eat it right now. I just had dinner, but thinking about that, I could eat another meal if that was the meal. So good.
I actually just recently saw a Disney food blog where they covered like the best waffles at I don't even think it was Disney food blog. Somebody was comparing all the waffles at Disney World, and they said that
I
this
think
is
it was Shay on TikTok.
Oh, maybe. I just deleted TikTok to avoid Era's Tortured Poets spoilers. But so this must have been right before that. But yeah, and they said that this particular waffle is special because it's like a malted something or other. Like the flavor of it is richer, more like unique. But anyway, yeah, that was delicious.
Thank goodness I didn't lose my sense of taste with COVID. That would have been a big bummer on the trip.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so sad.
But looking back at the pictures, we have a few pictures during this breakfast. I look like I went through like something horrible. Like I look rough. And I think it's just a mixture of not wearing makeup, being tired, and recovering from COVID. But
Yeah.
I was happy. I know I was happy, even though I looked like a dumpster fire.
Well, it was also like the middle of winter, and coming from Utah and being in the mountains, you're probably as pale as you've ever been and as dry as you can be. And then you come to Florida.
I had not left my room in the basement. I had roommates and I lived in the basement. Hadn't left my room in like 6 days because of COVID. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't even go to the living room. I had seen no sunlight. And then I go from that to on a plane. And then all of a sudden I'm in sunny Orlando looking like a ghost.
Yeah. Hopefully you got some sun. I remember you kept commenting on how your skin was so happy. You kept making that noise like it was like soaking. Your skin was just like soaking up all of the humidity.
I was going like,
Yeah.
my skin is soaking up all the humidity. Utah is very dry.
Yeah. Man, that was a good time. I mean, just thinking about this trip makes me feel like liberated. Like, stick it to the COVID. So yeah, we ate breakfast at the Grand Floridian, and our plan with that was kind of strategic, but also I just heard the Grand Floridian Cafe was like a really good, affordable, but good vibes breakfast spot. But that was great because we got a lift straight to a resort, and then we could resort hop around the monorail loop. So I don't remember specifics, honestly, at this point, other than I'm sure we went on the monorail loop. And I know we went to the Polynesian and the Contemporary, and we checked out the Grand Floridian, walked around, soaked in the vibes.
I know we went to Grand Flow because we started out there. I think we did not go into the Poly because, spoiler alert, we stay at the Poly later in this trip.
Oh, you're right. We saved it.
I think we tried to avoid that. We may have gone to the Contemporary, maybe, but I also have a picture of myself that is tagged at Swan and Dolphin. So
yeah, I think we did both.
We made it there.
Yeah, but before, I do remember one of my goals was, which isn't a hard goal or like this sounds so dramatic, like one of my goals for this trip was to get a magic band. And I told myself I am not going to cheap out and just get like the solid colored ones. I wanted to get one that like spoke to me, that I really liked the print and whatever. And I remember we looked at the Grand Floridian and there was nothing there that I was just like, oh yeah, that's me, that's the one. And we took the monorail over to the Contemporary, and they had at the time a huge selection. And this is like the OG Magic Bands, not the Magic Band Plus. And I found one that was white with Frozen characters. It had like Bruni, who I love from Frozen 2, the little like salamander creature with the big eyeballs that's like a fire or something. Anyway, it had him on it, and it was just a cute print with blues and kind of purples and whatever. So it was very much, I love that movie. I love those colors. I was like, this is the one.
It was a no-brainer. Like,
Yep.
We were looking through them. I ended up getting one too, but that one in particular for Sarah, she picked it up and like showed me, and I was like, yes, obviously that's the one you're gonna get. That is.
It was the one I've been waiting for all of my life. Get it?
I don't think I don't think either of us could have designed a better one specifically for you.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have liked the one I made myself as much as the one that I got. You got a fun one too.
And I got a fun one too that I think was also me. I don't know if it was as tailor-made for me as yours was for you, but mine was blue with some tropical flowers on it, and it has Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and he's just being his cute, fun self, and it says vacation mode activated on it, which is very millennial, but I love it. I love the cheesy stuff when I go to Disney.
Yeah, you can't leave off the part where it said vacation mode activated because, yeah, I don't know. It was just so fitting. We were like embracing the cheesiness of doing Disney World, and we had kind of said like, who cares, whatever, we're all in. And obviously it was our first vacation since pre-COVID. So yeah, we were leaning in.
And it's like 80 degrees and 80 degrees, tropical feeling, so warm, so luscious, so humid. Like, it's all of the things that Florida is that might sometimes not be the vibe. But in this case, like, it was hitting the spot. Yeah. I was like, heck yeah, vacation mode activated, of course.
Well, and we were staying at the Poly later that week. So the kind of tropical vibes were on point for you. Okay, I think next we went to Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think we went straight there from Magic Kingdom, and I'm not totally positive about this, but I know at some point we went to Animal Kingdom Lodge and we got the bread service at Sanaa, which is at Kidani Village, which is the DVC part, and Jambo House is the main non-DVC part of Animal Kingdom Lodge. So we went to Sanaa, got the bread service because we had heard about it. That restaurant is, I think it's a little bit of like Indian and African fusion of flavors, something like that. And so the bread service gives you lots of different chutneys and dips and things and different types of bread. And it's just very popular. So we wanted to try that. It was good. I think we were probably still a little full from breakfast. I remember it being a little bit early, but we didn't get like full meals there or anything.
I remember it being good, but I also remember that when our server brought it, they really quickly went through what all of the chutneys were and like sauces and what all of the breads were. And they didn't really specify which was which. They just listed all of them. So it was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, we were just like guessing. We needed labels.
Labels would have been helpful. But it's also, I guess, not as fun to have it labeled. No, I would have liked labels. I'll double down on that. Because I had no idea what I was eating. No idea what breads were supposed to pair with what dips and stuff. Still good.
I have to remind myself, this was our first real life experience. Other than, I feel like we should, at this point, we should just say the trip from the year 2000, we don't remember it. So like if we did stuff, it doesn't count. So this was our first time literally at Disney resorts, like in the Disney bubble in real life since we were little.
I don't think we had gone to a single resort for that first trip. We stayed off property and did one day, I think, with
I don't know
3 or 4 of the parks.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, we didn't do Hollywood Studios. It was just very bam, bam, bam.
I was thinking of, yeah, we did have one trip before this one. Okay, we'll have to go recap that one if we can remember enough.
I don't know if I'm physically capable of recapping it. I know we stayed at a Best Western off property that was like a good neighbor hotel, and I know that I felt so fancy because we each got a bed to ourselves. And I don't know if I'd ever had a bed to myself in a hotel room. Wow. Maybe ever.
Yeah, I think we can try. So full disclosure here on this episode, I had to go back and look at text messages between Molly and I, which were not very helpful because we were together for most of the trip. But the most helpful ones were texts between my mom and I from this period of time. And then the few pictures we had to piece together what we actually ended up doing. And then also a few emails back and forth with, Disney dining reservations and stuff like that and hotel confirmations. So this has been quite the trek down memory lane to get this information. I think we could put something together for that other trip, even just for our own records, memories, because there is some stuff that I was like, whoa. But anyway, to your point though, this is our first time at resorts, like Disney resorts, and doing it with any type of, we had a lot more information built up after the whole quarantine period of time of watching those videos. So now we were like, oh, now we know how to do it. We're not just like flying by the seat of our pants.
We knew like on paper some of the things that we wanted to do, but as far as like execution, we definitely were still newbies, which was fun.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. All right. So we're at Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I think at this point, we probably finished off our day at the Epcot area. I don't remember a whole lot. We have a picture of Molly at the Swan or Dolphin. hotel. So I know we went there. And I honestly, I don't remember hardly anything about that. But I do remember, I had one specific thought, and it was, this isn't my Disney. Like, I remember being like, this isn't what I like think of as Disney. It was like uncomfortable to me because it was so unfamiliar. That whole area didn't feel like, for a lot of people, it feels nostalgic or like cozy, or like they love the vibe of the boardwalk and all of that stuff. But to me, it was so new. I almost felt like, I don't feel comfortable with this. Like, it was nice and I liked it, but I've come to now feel like nostalgic toward it because I've been many times since. So it just takes time to warm up to it.
I remember being very underwhelmed at the boardwalk. I really liked Yacht and Beach Club. I thought those were cool. But the boardwalk itself, when people had described it on podcasts and stuff, it sounded more exciting and lively, and it probably is at night. We were not there at night.
Yeah.
And it was hot, and we couldn't figure out how to get into the lobby of the hotel. We never figured it out.
No, we've done it since, but yeah, during that whole trip we were confused how to get in there. And you're right, I think the best vibes there are when it's busy and it's starting to get to be evening time, and those Edison bulb lights on the boardwalk are all lit up and stuff, and there's entertainment and stuff like that. But this was still very much COVID times, so there wasn't as much going on. A lot of the places were closed, so it was just, the energy was down. But it was fun for us to explore and see it, and at least have our own experience with it other than through vlogs.
Yeah. Okay, well, after that, I'm assuming we went back. We definitely ate at Art of Animation that night. Wait, no. That was before we had even... This is before we even had our Universal Day.
Yeah, we were probably super tired at this point because we had gotten in super late the night before. I'm sure we let ourselves sleep in a decent amount the next day, but there's only so much recovery you can do, at least for Molly, whenever she's coming off being sick. So, we probably had an early evening in, and the next day... So we're still at Endless Summer Dockside at Universal, and the next day we checked out of our room, and we left our bags at the Bell Services at Endless Summer because we weren't going to be back before our checkout time, and we were going to be moving to Art of Animation at Disney World that evening. So it was actually, I remember this part really clearly for some reason, probably because I was like stressed, but there was no one at Bell Services to take my bag because it was so early, and we really wanted to get on the first bus over to Universal, to the City Walk area to, rope drop the parks. And no one was there, and they kept telling me, oh, someone will be there at this time. And I was like, it's 5 minutes past, the bus is here. But it ended up being fine. They got there and we got on the bus.
I'm having deja vu now. Or not deja vu. I'm having
it's like coming back to
memory recalls now. I remember that being stressful, and like, for what? We were still like we were an hour before early park entrance. It would have been fine. We were just like itching to go into a park, even though it was Universal.
Well, and I think the other thing to it too was that I knew that Hagrid's would be really busy, and Velocicoaster was new, and I knew it would be busy. So my thought was like, we have to be like first of the first for rope drop in order to ensure that we get to do the rides we want. And we only had one day to do both parks at Universal. And this, remember, like Molly and I had annual passes here in 2018 or something. So we hadn't been in, 3 years or something, but this was like our place. Like, this is the only day we were going to have at the place that we were so familiar with. And it was just super nostalgic to us.
Yeah. Universal was definitely more comfortable for us at the time. Like, Disney was the outside thing that was new and exciting, but Universal, we were like, come on, we got to get to grandma's house. Like, we wanted to go, like, something so familiar and fun, had twists and turns, but like, yeah, I think that was a good way to start our trip, kind of in our familiar territory.
Yeah, well, it was originally the plan for that to be how we started our trip, and then we kind of did a little getting our feet wet at Disney, and then we came back to comfy, familiar place. And I do remember the walk there. So we had like a shuttle bus from the resort to City Walk, which is where both of the Universal parks, Universal Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, they both start from the city walk, and it's really just a big shopping and restaurant area. And the kind of they funnel you into it, and you go through security. And then after you're through security, there's this big bridge with all these, I don't know, those moving walking path things. And the music there is awesome. And that vibe as you're walking on those things and you're heading toward the magic, that vibe as you're walking toward the parks is just so good. Like, everyone's excited. The music is bopping, it was magical, but in a universal way. It was fun. It was festive.
It's Harry Potter magical. There's magic in Universal, just not Disney magic. That's always a great vibe. As you're walking toward any rope drop, if you're on time, if you're rushing, that's not as fun. If you're there with like time to spare, vibing, power walking, that's fun. And we got there in plenty of time. It was not a big deal at all. That we couldn't drop off our bags as fast as we wanted to.
Yeah, no, it was totally fine. And we started at Islands of Adventure, which is where Molly and I normally started already, but it also logistically made the most sense for us because Hagrid's was the big ride at the time that was going to have the long waits. So if you haven't heard Hagrid's Magical Motorcycle Adventure, it's like a really long name. It's a new high-tech and interactive, multifaceted roller coaster, and we wanted to rope drop it. But we get there, we're speed walking toward it, and then there are these team members. I think that's what they're called, right? Team members, not cast members at Universal.
Yeah, they're not cast members.
Yeah, but they were like, Hagrid's isn't up yet. You can either go here or here or here. And we were like, shoot, that ruins our plan. And we went to Velocicoaster, and it was awesome.
And Velocicoaster was also known to have a really long line around that time. And for some reason it didn't. We went on that so many times throughout the day and throughout that morning, and we kept going. I think we went maybe 3 or 4 times, and then we were like, oh my gosh, we cannot keep going on this. It's an intense roller coaster. It really is. And I don't know why it wasn't busy with Hagrid's being down. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Everyone would go to Velocicoaster, but no, so fun.
My only thought on it, or theory, is that it's so scary, or it looks so intimidating, because you can see the loops, and you can see that it's over water, and the people get really close to where other people are on a walking path, the loops are close to it. So I think it scares people off from actually getting in line.
You know what it was? I just had a flashback. I'm having memory flashbacks. We were in line and the coaster went down.
Oh, we were stuck in there. It wasn't moving.
We were stuck in there for the ride was down for maybe 15 minutes, and so many people left because the people on the microphone making announcements were saying they didn't know when it was going to be back up or something like that. And we decided to stay and wait it out, and it was totally worth it because there was no line. We were able to ride it, and then the line was still short because I think we were maybe one of the first people on it after it came back up.
Yeah, because I do think we had to wait once it got going a little bit, but yeah, a lot of people left. And I do think that was actually us just remembering or just being thoughtful about it. It's the beginning of the day. The ride hasn't really broken down. Most of the time when it's the beginning of the day and the ride isn't up yet, it just means that the team members who were supposed to be getting up and ready to go weren't on top of it, or they ran into kind of a glitch at the beginning of the day. But most likely they're just about to work it out. So we were just kind of betting on those team members to work it out.
They were probably doing a start of park opening safety thing and found out they needed to replace a bolt or something very mechanical, easy. That's my guess. I don't know. But also we thought, what are we going to do? Go get in line for Hagrid's, which is also down? Why don't we just stay?
Yeah, we were just kind of betting on it. And I remember it felt like our world was crumbling a little bit when it's Hagrid's is down and now Velocicoaster won't go. What is happening? But once we got going on Velocicoaster, we were big fans. And that's the most intense roller coaster that I felt no repercussions on the first ride. I didn't have a headache. I didn't have a stomach ache. I wasn't feeling dizzy or whatever. I was just hyped.
It was smooth.
Yeah, it was smooth.
I remember it's smooth.
And there were G's, but not the bad kind. It was a lot of just fast and weightless and awesomeness.
It makes me want to go back.
I know we haven't done that in that's literally the last time we've been to Universal.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I've been to the resorts, but I didn't go into the parks.
I went with you to the remember we ate at Cowfish or whatever that place is called, the
Yeah,
sushi and
that
burger
was
place.
so good. Oh my gosh. I literally
Surprisingly, yeah.
I re-looked up what I got there because someone on Instagram was like, where should we go eat at City Walk? And I was like, this place, and order this thing. But I had to go look at it. It was, yeah, we needed to go back. Every time we record, it's like we need to go to Orlando. And this time we're just reminded we need to show Universal
Give Universal some love.
Yep. All right. So otherwise at Universal, I honestly don't remember a whole lot. I know we did eventually get to ride Hagrid's.
We got to ride Hagrid's. We got to do everything we wanted to do. And we are kind of, I can't say we're experts now. I'm sure a lot's changed. But we knew enough at the time to know what rides we wanted to go on, what rides we didn't want to go on. And knowing that is a very powerful thing when you have one day in a park.
Yeah.
You can prioritize your list very easily. And we got to see the nighttime show on the Hogwarts Castle.
Oh yeah, because we had
which
never
we'd
done
never
that.
gotten to do before.
That was awesome.
Because when we had the annual passes, we always had to leave before sundown because we were trying to make flights back home. We didn't even, stay at a hotel. We only did day trips. So we'd fly out in the morning and fly back in the afternoon or evening. So we never got to see any of the nighttime stuff, it was so fun to finally get to see all of that. It felt very satisfying. Long time coming.
Yeah, agreed. So that night, we still were staying at Endless Summer. So we went back, went to bed, enjoyed
No. We went back and got our bags. We'd checked out.
Oh, you're right.
We went back, got our bags, and then took a lift to Disney's Art of Animation.
You're right. Wow. I'm not even reading my own notes at this point. Yeah, we went to Art of Animation and officially entered the Disney bubble. We already had our magic bands. We got those set up. I do remember that. And I remember I got the pulled pork sandwich with fries, and we both got the 50th anniversary resort mugs, and I just felt like we've made it. We've really done it.
I don't remember what I got to eat at the Landscapes of Flavors or whatever it's called, the food court area at Art of Animation, but I do remember I went through probably about 50 ketchup packets. I really like ketchup, and during that period of time in COVID, they had only like packets of things because back then when people thought that it was more hygienic to have water bottles instead of water fountains, and you couldn't do the self-serve ketchup machine things, you had to get packets, and it was just like trading one problem for another, but people had made up all these weird rules in their heads, so I had to use the little ketchup packets. I must have gotten like a burger.
Yeah, I think you did get a burger. Or something. I know you had fries because I could see them on your plate in a picture, but yeah, that was good vibes. And we were beat. I think again, I just remember being so tired on this trip because we went so hard. We did a full-on resort hopping day, then we did a full day at Universal, and now we're at Art of Animation.
At the end of that day, I was eating dinner with you, and I remember thinking something along the lines of wow, I am more tired than I've ever been in my life. And I think it was because 5 days before, I was basically bedridden with COVID. I had been taking this Finnergan, which is like an anti-nausea medicine that knocks you out for close to 24 hours. I was thinking, wow, crazy that I wasn't getting out of bed a few days ago. And then I just went from that to walking 20 miles in a day.
Yeah, we were crazy for that. So that night when we were at Art of Animation, we stayed at the Little Mermaid area, which is the farthest from the Skyliner, farthest from the food and just the whole central area. But it's the only area that has standard rooms and it's not suites like the other areas. So we stayed there. I remember thinking it was so cute, so perfect, exactly what we needed. I mean, turns out it's like the most basic thing you can get at Disney. But at the time, anything was exciting and fun. And
we'd never stayed on property before.
Yeah. So it was super, super fun for us. And we zonked out. And then the next day was our first Disney World day, and we went to Hollywood Studios.
And maybe Sarah remembers more of the actual park days than I do, but these were all kind of a blur to me, and they all kind of blend in with other trips a little bit. But Hollywood Studios, I remember being so pleasantly surprised because this is the first time that we had ever maybe been to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, because the first trip we went on in 2019, we didn't go there because they didn't have they didn't have Toy Story yet or Galaxy's Edge. So this was really our first experience. Before we go to Hollywood, though, keep in mind, this is our first time also, using the Skyliner to get around. And we woke up to a view of the Skyliner. When we got there the prior evening, it was dark. So you couldn't really see much. We weren't paying attention. We were exhausted. We wake up and open the windows and there's the Skyliner floating by. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And yeah, we got the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios, and that was also totally new.
Before we left Hollywood Studios, we also found out that we were in the Ursula section of the Little Mermaid area, which just means there's like a 5-story high figurine sculpture of Ursula, our queen, and we fully embraced the villainous vibe of Ursula.
Yeah, she was our patron saint for the week, and she was awesome. And yeah, so we went to Hollywood Studios. Honestly, I'm going to recap everything I remember, and then you can say everything you remember. We don't have to get into crazy details. So I remember, some of this is because we have pictures. I'm pretty sure we got Ronto wraps because those were extremely popular when Galaxy's Edge first opened. I know we got blue milk.
They still are.
Yeah, they're really good. We got blue milk. Molly got the boozy kind. I got the normal kind. And we liked it decently.
Yum.
It wasn't like incredible. I remember later in the day we got Oga's Cantina. And that was super fun. We enjoyed that a lot. Both got kind of funky fun drinks. And then we did Rise of the Resistance, which if you don't know, that's one of the most popular rides in all of Hollywood Studios. It is obviously Star Wars themed, and it's very, it's very complex. There's a lot of pieces to it. There's a lot of acting, or kind of very much you're like, what's it called? You're in it.
Animatronics.
Yeah, they're
immersive.
Immersive, that's the word. Yeah. And it was amazing.
I know that this is obvious because this happened a while ago, but at the time it was newer. And by that I mean I think it was pretty new. I think they may have just stopped doing the boarding groups.
I don't remember.
Well, I know they didn't do boarding groups because we went back in line later on in the day.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been an option if they had
You're right.
boarding groups.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at some point in the day we went to Woody's Lunchbox. I'm sure we did Slinky Dog and Toy Story Mania.
I got the grilled cheese. I'm remembering I got the grilled cheese at Woody's Lunchbox, and it was very yummy.
That makes sense.
It's kind of something they're famous for. And I think I got half grilled cheese, half tomato soup.
Yeah.
We may have both ordered off the kids menu. I think we did because
I got tachos. I think what you got is a normal thing to order. They don't have that big of a menu.
No, but that's the thing. At Woody's Lunchbox, you can get stuff off the kids menu for significantly cheaper, and it's just smaller
Almost
portions of the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, maybe. I do remember that was the first time that I tried the Pop-Tart thing, and I really liked that. I think we kind of split it, but you didn't love it. But we have already addressed the fact that you liked it a lot better the second time you got it, maybe just different setting or something. But yeah, I remember that part vaguely, and I remember we did get a seat at the Woody's Lunchbox tables, which is unheard of and very difficult, but at the time it was COVID times. So the parks were also not very busy because
it was a Tuesday too, so not peak. It wasn't weekend.
Yeah,
Tuesday in January, that's not that busy of a time.
Yeah, and they were limiting the capacity at this point still. Those are really all the things I remember. And then like Molly said, we went back to Rise of the Resistance and tried to get on that right before the park closed, which we did successfully, and the line was pretty short for it. So it was going to be great, but we got stuck in, there's kind of a room before you get on the actual ride that's kind of part of the lead up, right before you get in to the actual ride. But it's the room with all of the stormtroopers where it looks like you are looking out into outer space, like a huge screen, but very immersive again. And I was for some reason not feeling very well, and they had us line up and get in the smaller room. Anyway, I was getting claustrophobic, and it was really warm in there, and they were offering passes to get out of the line and to leave, and they would give you a magical, what are they called? A multi-experience pass.
They were giving multi-experience passes, but the park was already closed and they were only good for Hollywood Studios. And we were like, who is going back to Hollywood Studios tomorrow? No one. The passes were only good for multi-experience passes, so basically fast passes for Hollywood Studios the next day. I'm like, who plans?
Yeah. In retrospect, I think we should have just gone to them, told them what we were doing and said, can you make it work for Epcot? And they probably would have been able to do it, but that's not what they were advertising.
Did, and they said no.
Oh, I don't really remember. But anyway, we stuck it out. We eventually got on the ride. Molly loved it the second time. She's like, wow, that's like the best ride. And then I was just like, I was just ready to get off.
That's not how I remember thinking of it. I remember thinking maybe I felt really chipper compared to you because you were really nauseous. But I was like, I remember thinking that was not as good as the first time.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about. I wasn't like, wow, that was amazing. I think I was trying to be positive, and I said, that's a really good ride. I don't think it was worth waiting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember being like, I want to leave. But anyway, it was a great day overall at Hollywood Studios. I think we were both not totally surprised, but definitely impressed by that park. And obviously, it's your favorite Walt Disney World park. So
I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I was too.
I knew that I would like it because they made obvious huge improvements by adding Galaxy's Edge and adding Toy Story Land and all of that. And there was great food. I was just surprised at how much the vibe of it hit for me.
Yeah.
Like even the older sections. I can understand if Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land weren't there, thinking the rest of the park was underwhelming. But altogether, it's great.
Yeah.
All of it. Wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah, we didn't even mention, I don't really remember my first time on Tower of Terror or, Rock and Roller Coaster. I do remember I almost lost my hat. Just public service announcement. Please take off your hat when you're getting on Rock and Roller Coaster because it will fly off your head. Thankfully, I had a ponytail that was kind of catching it before I can grab it. But anyway, that part of the park is great too. Honestly, that's the original kind of the heart of the park. The real magic, I mean, it's everywhere, but it's definitely on Sunset Boulevard. All right, so next.
Okay, so the next day, we woke up again for yet another rope drop. Not too surprising at this point.
No.
This time, we are going to Epcot, and we were very excited to go to Epcot because we knew we'd love Epcot. We had been there before, a few years before. But the main reason I was excited, which seems small, but it's because we got to go on the Skyliner for the first time.
Mm. No, wait, we already went on it. We went on it to get to Hollywood.
Oh, you're right. Man, this trip is a blur.
I know.
Epcot, nonetheless, still very fun.
Yeah. It was our second time floating in on the beautiful Skyliner. And what I remember, I honestly don't know for sure. I think we rope dropped Remy. We could have rope dropped Frozen. Either way, we rode both of those and enjoyed them.
I think we rope dropped Remy because we didn't walk that far up front.
Yeah, I was thinking Remy.
And that was the really new thing at the time.
Yeah, it was very popular. Like, it's still popular and it's a good ride, but it definitely still had the newness going on at the time.
It's a cute ride, but I will say I do not know how that was the hypest ride. Like, that just doesn't make sense with me.
Yeah.
How overly hyped that ride is in particular. It's not my vibe. I'm also not like a Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway person. I like them. I'll go on them. But when that's the individual attraction lightning lane, everyone will wait 4 hours for it. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah. Something about those trackless rides. You're not just in a line one behind the other, like in a train situation, and it feels different. And I think that was the newness of that was special and new. Remy was the first trackless ride, I think, at Walt Disney World. And then Mickey and Minnie's is the other one. So that part of it, I think sometimes we just don't like appreciate it maybe. But anyway.
Yeah, still fun. So we rope dropped Remy. Pretty sure that's accurate. And then as we were trying to figure out things to do, things to eat, whatever, we lost all of our reservations that we were maybe going to have at Epcot. And we were really determined, I think, to sit at a sit-down restaurant. I don't really know why. I think we were just tired at this point.
We were tired and
had
hot.
2 park days.
Yeah.
And we found out that Beer Garden had walk-in availability, basically, which we were like, oh, sure, Beer Garden, let's do it. I didn't even realize it was an all-you-care-to-enjoy restaurant until we got inside.
Yeah, we didn't.
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, we knew nothing. We didn't know how much it was. We talked about this in a previous episode, but we didn't know how expensive it was. We didn't know it was all-you-care-to-enjoy. We didn't know it was as themed as it is, but we don't regret it. It was a great time, great food, and we needed the break and the chill.
We were pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by the food, the vibe, the whole atmosphere. I was not pleasantly surprised by the receipt at the end, by
Yeah,
the bill.
like, $70. What?
And we didn't even get drinks. I remember thinking, like, how is this how expensive it is? We didn't even get alcohol.
Yeah.
But it was still fine. I think we spent the rest of like gift cards that we had gotten from our mom for the trip. So it didn't end up being that expensive for us. We had gift cards, but still kind of a shock to the system for these Oklahoma and Texas girls used to not that expensive stuff.
Yeah, we're normally pretty frugal. But anyway, yeah, so we did that. And I know we took a midday break, which honestly was a lifesaver, especially like we've talked about with Molly coming off of COVID and just for going so hard multiple days in a row, like we needed it. And it was warm there, even though it was just January. By the middle of the day, the sun was pretty warm, and so we took the Skyliner back to our room, and I think Molly took like an hour-long nap. I'm sure I just hung out and laid down, and I think I went and like refilled our resort mugs and stuff like that. But
I definitely took a nap, and I remember you chilled for a little while, sat down for a little while. I think you got up and did some stuff, and then you woke me up by saying like, okay, are you ready now? And I was thinking like, what? Ready? I think I was pretty deep asleep.
Yeah, I
was still in recovery.
That's funny because when I was looking back at the old texts with Mom, I sent her a picture of you looking like you had like tears in your eyes. You looked like we talked about, like you kind of got hit by a train, like just rough on the Skyliner. And we were going back to Epcot, and Mom was like, why was Molly like that? Like in that picture. Cause I just sent her the picture with no context. And I was like, Molly didn't want to get up from her nap, but we're going back to Epcot. She's just kidding. And I said something about, we've seen lots of little kids throwing tantrums today. So she's just throwing her like adult tantrum or something, but she's kidding. Anyway, but you rallied because obviously you weren't not going to rally unless you were like sick, but you weren't, you were just tired. So
my body was weak. My mind was strong.
I think that we did take quite a bit longer of a break though that time. And I don't think we did much in the evening besides get some snacks. And I think you got a fun adult beverage somewhere.
I looked it up because you wrote Molly got fun adult beverage and I could not remember what it was, but I looked up the options and I think it was from Morocco and it was like a minty tea drink that had some gin in it, and it was like frosted slushy vibe, and you liked it.
I remember it now. As soon as you said mint, I was like, yep, I can taste it. It was pretty good. And I got at Morocco, I got the like, I don't know, the sweet pastry things that were
like variety pack, or you had to pick multiple.
It was like
they were weird, but okay.
One of them I was like obsessed with, and the other two were just okay. But I think it was kind of one of those things you have to know what to try, and I just kind of guessed. But it was fun, kind of munched on those while we were waiting on the fireworks. And I remember we sat and waited on the bridge in between the UK pavilion and the France pavilion, and that was perfect because it gave us a great kind of route to get back to the Skyliner after the fireworks were over, but it was also a pretty good view.
This day was actually, I think, fundamental in my relationship with my now boyfriend because January 12th is his birthday. We were not officially dating yet, and he had it in his mind that he wanted to put his career first, blah, blah, blah. Didn't want a girlfriend because he was so career-centered. Anyway, on his birthday, I took this trip because we weren't dating, whatever. And I talked to him on the phone before the fireworks and he was upset. And I was like, well, you can't really be upset at me for taking a trip when my not boyfriend has his birthday. And I think he thought about that. And fairly soon after this, I think we became official, I think. I don't remember the exact timeline of it, but
that's funny. I do remember you were like, I was saving our spots on that bridge and you were like scoping out some other spots. But I could see you from afar and I could tell you were on the phone. So you were like no longer really scoping out spots. You were just kind of, taking your time on your phone. And I was like, I thought you were just catching up with him. I didn't think you were, having a life altering conversation. But
it wasn't life-altering at the time. He was just clearly somewhat upset. And I was like
You don't
explaining
get
to
to
him.
be upset. You're not my boyfriend.
Yeah, friends can't be upset when friends go on trips during their birthday. Like, you'd have to be really close friends
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah, put a label on
anyway.
it and then we'll talk.
Yeah, but he was home alone, I think, on his birthday, and he worked that day. Meanwhile, I was watching fireworks at Epcot. So
But that sounds like his problem. Sorry, Siobhan.
I know, I thought so too.
Well, you did get him you brought him back something. I think you bought him something. But anyway.
I brought him back some cookies, and then he was like, I don't even like sweets.
Anyway,
he was just booty hurt.
poor guy. Wah. Okay. But that was the first
Day 3.
Yeah. Well, we watched Harmonious. I didn't mention which fireworks show, and that got me hooked on Harmonious, the soundtrack, and I still listen to it to this day. Long live Harmonious.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. the barges. Okay. Next day, Animal Kingdom.
We started off this day with bringing our bags to Bell Services for a transfer. If you've never done that before, if you stay at 2 different resorts within one vacation at Disney World, you can bring your bags to Bell Service and they will transfer your bags there for you. And whenever you get to your new hotel, your bags will be waiting for you. Very nice.
In theory. Unless you have to ask them multiple times to bring them like we did. But that's okay. I don't think that's common. But yeah, we did that and we took the bus to Animal Kingdom. We rope dropped it as usual because we are us. We can't help ourselves. I know we did Flight of Passage. And I think we were so tired. I really don't remember much at all, honestly, of this day. I know we saw Kite Tales, which is hilarious. It was a very short-lived show that was specific to Animal Kingdom. Basically, there were these giant semi-inflatable type like kites that were just massive that they dragged behind these boats, and they were known for just crashing and burning, and not burning physically, but just it was a crash and burn kind of.
It was so
hilarious.
lame.
It was like so lame that it was awesome. People were like either hardcore Kite Tail stans or like hardcore haters, but we got to see it with our own eyes.
I feel like if you're a hardcore fan, it must have been ironic or something, because it was. I've never seen a worse piece of entertainment put out by the Disney Corporation at their parks. Like, it makes no sense that actually made it to the light of day in a park at a central location in it. Like,
yeah,
it was, I guess, cute.
Well, eventually
there was nothing to it.
Eventually they took away it being like a show with like a set period of time, and they just started making it spontaneous, which made more sense. It's more fun to be like, oh, I'm walking from this ride to that ride, and I just happen to see this giant kite of Simba flying by with music. That's cool. But whenever you go and you find a seat and you sit down and you're sitting there for like 20 minutes and the whole show is what it is, you're just like, wow, that's not
it's just big kites being dragged by boats, which they're very cute and intricate kites. I also remember in plain sight they bring down the kites and deflated them, and there were a few kids around us that could not take their eyes off of the deflating creatures, like the deflating characters.
Yeah.
It's hard to pay attention to Mufasa in front of you when like Scar is just off to the side of your field of view and he's being like squished into a ball by cast members to fit back into a bag.
That should have been backstage, but there was no backstage. But anyway, I'm glad we got to see that with our own eyes. That was funny and just a once in a lifetime. Like, they're never bringing that back. It's too hated on, but also loved. Anyway, I remember we ate at Satuli Canteen. We both loved that.
Yummy. We both did like build your own bowls. Mm-hmm. I remember liking mine, but my sauce was like almost a ranch that I picked, and I didn't realize that it was basically ranch.
Oh, and you put it on like noodles.
My base was noodles. And I was like, this is an interesting combo. It was still like oddly tasty.
Well, yeah, I mean, ranch is good, noodles are good. Why wouldn't they be okay together? It's just not typical what we would normally do. But
your combo was better.
Yeah, my combo was really good.
You got rice.
Yeah, my rice, and I think I got a different sauce maybe. But do you remember anything about this day? We probably did Expedition Everest. We probably did a bunch of stuff. I don't remember anything else we ate. Oh, actually, I think you got a Mickey Premium bar, and I think this is before my lactose issue became more of an issue, but I got a Mickey sandwich, ice cream sandwich.
I think you're right, but also, yeah, this is just a very
Yeah.
typical day at
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom. Plus, it's like, did we do anything else? Oh, yes. I think you got a Mickey Premium bar.
Groundbreaking.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Mickey Premium bar.
The highlight of the day. Well, it's just fun to think of all the things I can remember. Unfortunately, Animal Kingdom didn't leave a lot of an impression. Granted, we did open, like, we rope dropped there on our 2019 trip, and we loved it then. So I think a lot of my memories of Animal Kingdom are really based there.
Well, also, this was our 4th park day
Yeah.
in a row. So the fact that our memories are a little fuzzy is probably because we were just genuinely so exhausted. We called it a quits pretty early on. I think we had talked about going back to Animal Kingdom to see Pandora at night again, and we did not end up doing that because we were too tired.
We were like, we're not going. In the text to Mom, I said in the morning that day, I said, we'll probably call it quits early and go to the Polynesian, because we were spending a lot of money for us to go to the Polynesian. So we wanted to really experience it. At this point, like,
$720 a night. I found it in our text, which is crazy. We did not know about the DVC rental store at the time. We could have paid probably half of that.
Don't even talk about it.
To get the
I don't
same
even
type
like
of
to think
room.
about it.
I was so poor then too. I mean, not that I'm not poor now, but I was more poor then.
You were the one pushing for it the most. You were like, we are not letting ourselves off the hook. We are treating ourselves. This is a once in a lifetime. We're doing it. And I was like, okay, I'm down.
Well, we were considering going to like a less expensive deluxe resort, but it still would have been like $500-$600 a person. And we were like,
yeah, and the Poly was like the dream. So we just made it happen. And, you know, it was fine. You know, we're fine. We both are not broke.
well, and I truly thought that would be the one deluxe experience that we were going to do in our whole lives. And then we figured out about DVC rental store and ways that you can rent vacation club points. And we're trying that out up in September, but that's going to open up a lot of doors if it goes well to more deluxe stays in the future at half the price.
Yeah, and so far it's been very smooth, very easy, great service, blah, blah, blah. So,
but anyway, the Poly.
Yeah, so we went to the Poly. Our bags were not at our room. They weren't available yet, but we called them and they were like, oh yeah, we'll bring them. And it took a while. We called them again, whatever. They brought them eventually. But we were obsessed with our room. We had a great view. We were on the ground floor, had a huge porch kind of area to ourselves, and we could see the castle, the very tippy top of the castle from our room. Again, I mean, it was very spacious. We had our own beds, all the things. It's Moana themed. It was newly renovated, I think.
Another thing that I'm thinking of, if you have like a family of 5, this could be a really good option for you, because they have like they have a twin, their couch can convert kind of into a pretty comfy twin size bed. And if you're comparing the prices at Art of Animation suites that can fit 6 people to the Poly using DVC rental store, it's probably going to be cheaper to stay at the Poly. There's a good chance it will be. And it would fit a family of 5 very comfortably. Those rooms are nice and big too. You'd be sharing beds, but it's comfy. It's really luxurious. What a great experience.
Yeah, because the suites, you do have you have 2 bathrooms and you have separate rooms. So that is something to consider. But if it's just the beds, and it is, like you said, a very big room. So good point. All right, so I think we went to bed basically as soon as we could get showered and in bed.
No, not
once we got our stuff.
We did one more thing.
Oh, we watched the
fireworks.
I
think we watched the fireworks from the beach the first night, because I think we did that the first night, and then the second night we watched from our hotel room, I think.
Yeah, it was either that or the reverse. It doesn't really matter. But either way, we got to experience the fireworks from the Poly, and it was amazing. Big fan.
And Sarah started feeling like her eye hurt.
Yeah, Molly's reading the notes. That was the first inclination that something was wrong with my eye. And it became like, honestly, in my mind, it became more all consuming probably than Molly even realized. Because I look back on these last days at the Polynesian like with a love-hate kind of vibe, because my eye was killing me. But Molly was like, those were the best. We finally got to relax. She's like, oh, like vibes by the pool. I did like Ohana and everything. It was good. It was still good, but there was annoyance in the back of my eyeball, in the front of my eyeball.
you scratched your cornea, right?
Yeah.
You had to have like...
It was a corneal abrasion, and I just had to do eye drops for the infection and stuff like that. But it was definitely a thing and not fun to deal with. But that's what led me to get LASIK eventually. But anyway, that's a long story.
Once we got to the Poly, we were done with our park days. This was our relaxation time. So chilling in our room, chilling at the pool. I got a little drinky drink that I think was 50th anniversary, like fruity vodka drink with like a little light up fake ice cube that was made of plastic in it, which was cute and overpriced. And I remember not being super happy with the taste of it, but it was a vibe. And the theme of the Poly for us was vibes.
It was.
That's kind of our theme for most things.
Yeah, we're big fans of vibes. And did you say that we ate breakfast at Ohana?
No, I didn't, but that was very yummy.
That was like to me, that was one of the, happy things at the end of the trip, like that I'd been looking forward to the whole time because it has such a great reputation. But it's just a very nice, all you care to enjoy family style breakfast where they just bring you loads and loads of delicious breakfast goodness, kind of Polynesian, Hawaiian themed stuff. So you get ham and, pineapple-y stuff and bread and eggs and sausage and all of the typical Mickey waffles, everything. Pug juice, which is pineapple, orange juice, and guava juice mixed together, I
I
think.
think so. It was really good. It had enough things that were unique to it to make it feel very tropical, but also if you had picky eaters, they would be fine too. I don't know if this breakfast is as special as their lunch and dinner, or maybe just dinner service. I think their dinner is more unique, and they have like noodles and stuff. I still want to do the dinner sometime.
Same.
But the breakfast was very yummy.
What was nice for us with this one was that the characters had not come back yet post-COVID. So normally it's Lilo and Stitch that come visit you at your table, but we don't really care about the character stuff as much. And so it was quite a bit cheaper because the characters weren't there. So it just made it feel a lot more doable, especially with how expensive the Poly was in the first place. But anyway, that was really Friday. I remember we spent a decent amount of time kind of in the afternoon in our room, just kind of enjoying the room and that kind of thing. But we really didn't do much.
I would definitely recommend, if you're going to do a split stay where you stay at more than one resort, try to go from a lower level resort to a higher one, and don't go from a deluxe to a value. Go from a value to a deluxe.
Yeah.
Or go from a value to a moderate to a deluxe. Try to crescendo into your nicest place you're staying, because Art of Animation was very nice. I cannot complain about a single thing in that room. But then you go to the Poly and you think, wow, this makes Art of Animation look not as good.
Yeah, it's just a lot more luxurious. And even before Art of Animation, staying at Endless Summer, Dockside, I mean, it was that was kind of hard because we accidentally got upgraded. So I would say that was probably a little bit, definitely more spacious, at least, than Art of Animation. Granted, I liked Art of Animation better theming wise, but anyway,
yeah,
I agree though. Good tidbit. All right, do you want to move on to Saturday, our last day?
On Saturday morning, we finally got to kind of go to Disney Springs and do some more things that we'd been wanting to do. It was nice because it was a travel day, but our flights were later in the day, so we could kind of make the most of the day in Orlando. And we started off the day I think we gave our bags to bell service just so we didn't have to worry about checking out of our room. But then we got breakfast at Captain Cook's and finally got to eat Tonga toast, which is it's basically a yummy French toast. That's the flavor profile. I think it's made a little differently. It's like thicker and stuff. But shout out to Bruce and Connie from Unlocking the Magic podcast. They helped get me through COVID. I've stopped listening to them since we started recording this because I was afraid that we'd be poaching too many ideas from them. But I do miss listening to them every week. It was a highlight for me. They're probably my favorite Disney related podcast out there. So shout out to them.
Yeah, this day my eye was killing me. So we were at Disney Springs and we went to Gideon's Deluxe Burger. I lost my resort mug. I was super bummed. I was also just like annoyed because my eye hurt and the sun was bright and blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, we're leaving Disney and I'm sad. But what was nice is when we went back to the Poly to get our bags and get a Lyft to the airport, I asked a lady at Captain Cook's if there was any chance I could get a new resort mug, because really when you're buying the resort mug, you're buying all the drinks that you're going to fill it with for the duration of your trip, not just the cup itself. And typically they last about like 2 weeks where you can keep getting the drinks, and we had only been there for like a week at this point. So in theory, I would have like missed out on half the potential drinks. Anyway, I was able to get it. So if you ever lose your resort mug, just ask. Maybe take a picture of your receipt whenever you buy it. But she didn't ask me for mine. Anyway, at that point, we just went to the airport and went home. And I think our flights were pretty chill. I don't remember any drama around those.
I had a nonstop flight, and that was the last nonstop flight that I've had on Southwest between Salt Lake City and Orlando. Southwest representatives out there, if you're listening, bring back the nonstops from Salt Lake City to Orlando. I missed them. They were so nice.
Maybe if you start flying it all the time, they'll be like, wow, there's a lot more demand for this route than normal. Maybe we'll bring it back. You just have to recruit people.
If only I could afford that.
To go to Orlando from your area more. And then the other funny thing is, as I was looking at texts from Molly and I to help trigger memories about this whole trip, this is the first time I sent Molly a link to an Adam Hatton vlog, because he had just been to Disney World in December. So I sent her the one that was like the most recent from his trip, which was the 6th one. So he was really churning out those YouTube videos pretty quickly. But so that was funny, because now she watches him, I think, somewhat frequently.
I watch every video he releases the day he releases it now.
So she's hardcore, and this was the day of their union, Saturday, January 15th, the day that she was introduced to her new vlog.
That's the day I said I do. Just kidding.
Anyway, okay, I think that's it. Even if, no one listens to this, at least it's a good way to capture the magic and relive the memories of this trip. I know we forgot a lot of stuff, but hey, from now on, we'll have a podcast to have all of the details.
Yeah, we're never going to get back the memory. If we don't know it now, we're never going to know it, but at least we've documented to the best of our combined knowledge what we know today. And even if no one listening cares, we'll have this in our archives forever.
Yeah. We have a record. And if we blow up and become huge, and people think we're so cool and they want to go listen to all of our old stuff, then hey, here's another episode where you can learn about how clueless we were when we first started going to Disney World. But anyway, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Any other final thoughts, Molly?
Nope, just counting down the days to the next time we can do something like this.
Yeehaw. Hey, it's September. It's coming.
Okay.
I don't know why I've been saying yeehaw a lot lately. I think because I know why. It's because I just went to our cousin's graduation at Oklahoma State, and every time I go there, I just try to be obnoxiously cowgirlish.
Anyway,
that's our mascot.
So irrelevant.
It's so irrelevant. Anyway, okay. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you later, Castle Dwellers.
Bye.